Hey, Essa. It's Don.
Yeah.
Looks like we have a quorum, right?
I think so.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Sorry.
6.
Yeah, we have quorum.
Okay.
Well, so far I've seen Gary, Rona, Mel, George, and Roderick.
Okay. A few more seconds to 9 o'clock. Okay, well, 9 o'clock. So, I guess so. Since we have quorum, shall we call the meeting to order? Essa, do you need to take a roll call?
So there's Don, Gary, Rona, Mel, George,
Yeah.
and Roderick.
Okay, very good. So, moving to the minutes. So the regular minutes of October 8th, 2020 were circulated. Can I get a motion to accept and file?
So moved on.
Second.
Thanks, Mel. Thanks, George. Was there any discussion? Any additions or deletions? No, if not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Regarding the executive session minutes for October 8th, we're going to approve it in open session unless anybody has any discussion, and then we'll move to executive session and we can go ahead and discuss. So I guess can I get a
Motion.
Thanks, Mel. Was that Gary? That second?
Yes, Gary.
Oh, thanks, Gary.
Aye.
Is there any discussion for the executive session minutes? Okay, if not, then all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to discussion item number 3A. Can I get a motion to approve resolution number 149, authorizing the issuance of Hula Bay multifamily tax exempt revenue bonds for the Kaiaulu o Kuohi project located in Lahaina, Maui, TMK. There was a correction on the original agenda. It's actually a TMK 121050068.
So moved.
Second.
You?
No, that was for item 3D, but the public agenda is correct. It was just the board packet that you guys received.
Dude, okay. Oh, sorry. So that was 3D, not 3A.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. So then okay, I'll amend it. So it's TMK 245010047. Sorry.
Good morning, Chair, members of the board. The subject for action is requesting authorization to issue Hula May multifamily bonds through the adoption of resolution number 149 for the benefit of the Kaiaulu o Kupuohi project. The project is a proposed 89-unit affordable rental facility that specifically targets 60%, 40%, and 30% AMGI family households in Lahaina, Maui. The improvements shall consist of one 5-story mid-rise building over a 1-story parking podium with residential units lining one side of the podium. Construction is concrete slab foundation with reinforced concrete columns and metal framing. On December 12th, 2019, the HHFDC Board of Directors approved an intended tax issuance of up to $27,346,140 from the Hula May multifamily bond program, up to $1 million $960,926 in annual 4% federal credits over 10 years, and that same amount in annual 4% state credits over 5 years. And there was also a rental housing revolving fund loan of up to $17,132,500. On August 13th, 2020, the HHFDC Board of Directors approved the following due to an increase in the project's budget. That is an increase in the intended tax issuance amount up to $35,876,790, and an increase in the annual federal 4% credits to $2,476,963 over 10 years, and that same amount in annual state 4% credits over 5 years. The project has structured the HMMF bond as a private placement with Bank of Hawaii. The project expects the bond issuance to fund over 50% of its anticipated basis, allowing for maximization of the 4% tax credit eligibility. As part of the bond process, the Tax Equity and Fiscal Responsibility Act requires HHFDC to conduct a public hearing addressing the issuance of tax-exempt bonds for affordable housing projects prior to bond issuance. HHFDC included the project in a hearing on Wednesday, March 25th, 2020 for its initial official intent approval, and in another hearing on Thursday, July 30th, 2020 for the higher intended issuance amount. HHFDC did not receive any testimony at the hearings. Documentation and due diligence are essentially complete. Staff recommends adoption of resolution number 149, which authorizes the issuance, sale, and deliverance of HMMF bonds to support the development of the Kaiulu o Kupuohi project. Staff available for questions, and I think we have Doug and Tom from the project also available.
Thank you, Patrick. Is there any questions?
Doug and
Chair, this is Gary. I just wanted to ask Pat or Doug, is this project still on target to begin construction in December of this year?
Yeah.
How does that look?
So what the plan is right now we're looking to pre-close the bonds on November 30th with closing to occur, I think it was December 2nd for the actual closing, and then right after that they can go straight into construction. They have all their permits now.
Okay.
So yeah, they're all set to go.
Okay, cool. Very good. Anybody have any other questions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Motion
Chair?
passes. Yes.
Sorry, was there a motion made in the beginning?
Oh,
their motion is in.
good. I think it was Gary and Mel, huh?
Okay.
I second it.
Yeah, Gary. Yeah.
And I just want to note that Kim and Carol joined as well.
Okay. Thank you. All right, moving on to section 3B. To approve the 2021 qualified allocation plan for the low-income housing tax credit program. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion.
Thanks, Mel.
Second.
Thanks, Gary.
Hey, good morning. This for action is to request approval of the 2021 Qualified Allocation Plan for the Low-Income Housing Tax Credit Program. The regulations that govern the Low-Income Housing Tax Credit Program are contained in Section 42 of the Internal Revenue Code. Section 42 requires that each state housing agency allocate the credits in accordance with a Qualified Allocation Plan, also known as the QAP. The QAP sets forth the criteria to evaluate and allocate tax credits to projects which best meet the housing needs of the state and preferences required by Section 42, and the procedure to monitor projects for compliance with the provisions of the LIHTC program. In accordance with Section 42, the QAP must go through a public hearing process. On September 10, 2020, the Board of Directors approved 1. Proposed amendments to the 2021 QAP subject to a public hearing. 2. Authorize the Executive Director or designate representative to conduct a public hearing on the proposed 2021 QAP. And 3. Following the public hearing, authorize the Executive Director to approve the final 2021 QAP, provided that no substantive amendments were made. The public hearing was conducted remotely on October 23, 2020. HHFDC received testimony from 4 entities. A summary of the testimony received is attached as Exhibit B. A copy of the written testimony received is attached as Exhibit C. None of the testimony received was directly related to the amendments that were made to the 2021 QAP. The amendments to the QAP were made to compliance monitoring sections as required by the federal requirements. A copy of the 2021 QAP is attached as Exhibit A. No changes were made to the proposed QAP that the board had approved at the September board meeting. Following the discussions with the Executive Director and Executive Assistant, staff recommends presenting the testimony to the Housing Finance Subcommittee that has been established for the evaluation of the 2022-2023 QAP. This will allow HHFDC to maintain a February 2021 LIHTC application round and a more thorough evaluation and discussion of the testimony in conjunction with other changes already under consideration for the 2022-2023 QAP. The recommendation to approve the 2021 QAP can be found on page 2 of the 4 action, and staff is available for questions.
All right, thank you. Does anyone have any questions? No, if there's no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. So moving on to section 3C. This is to approve the fiscal year 2021 application cycle for the low income housing tax credit program and the rental housing revolving fund program. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion.
Second.
No. Thanks, George. Oh, was that Carol that seconded? Oh,
Yes,
thanks, Carol.
Carol, sorry.
Thanks, Carol.
Before starting the request, I would like to apologize for a typographical error in section 3A of page 1. The fiscal year in the first sentence should state 2021. I apologize for that. So the 4 action is to request approval of the fiscal year 2021 application cycle for the low-income housing tax credit program and the rental housing revolving fund program. The low-income housing tax credit program, or LIHTC, was created by the Tax Reform Act of 1986 and is intended to encourage construction or rehabilitation of low-income rental units. The LIHTC program provides federal tax credits to qualified project owners who agree to maintain all of a portion of a project's units for low-income individuals or families. The state of Hawaii created a state LIHTC, which is equal to 50% of the federal tax allocation to each project. HHFDC is designated as the agency responsible for the administration of the federal and state tax credit program. The rental housing revolving fund program provides equity gap low interest loans to qualified owners and developers for the construction of new affordable units or the acquisition and rehabilitation of existing affordable units. The RHRF program's availability as of October 31st, 2020 can be found on page 1, section 2C of the 4 action. The 2021 QEP that was just approved will be utilized in the evaluation of the LIHTC applications received in 2021. Recommendations for the fiscal year 2021 LIHTC and RHRF funding round are expected around June, July of 2021. Hawaii Administrative Rules for the Rental Housing Revolving Fund Program requires an outreach marketing program on the availability of funds for the RHRF. Staff is planning to publish a RHRF notice of funding availability on December 18, 2020. A draft of the notice is attached as Exhibit A. The recommendation to approve the fiscal year 2021 application cycle for the LIHTC and rental housing revolving fund programs, and to authorize staff to begin the marketing of the fiscal year 2021 rental housing revolving fund application cycle can be found on page 10 for action. Staff is available for questions.
All right, thank you. Does anybody have any questions? No? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Okay, so moving on to section 3D. This one, this is actually the one that had the adjustment to approve 1, the cancellation of an existing ground lease, and 2, the execution of a purchase and sale agreement to acquire the lease fee interest in a portion of the Kauhale Kaka'ako Affordable Housing Project located in Kaka'ako, Oahu, TNK 121050068. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion.
Thanks, Mel.
Second.
Thanks, Eric.
Good morning, Chair and members of the board. This is a kind of a housekeeping item, although it's been about 25 years since we should have done this, so housekeeping is a little bit light of a word. Kauhale Kaka'ako is one of the 6 properties that was part of the former Hawaii Rental Housing System Revenue Bond Portfolio. 5 of those properties we sold in leasehold last year to a partnership between Stanford Car Development and Standard Communities out of Los Angeles. It's a tower, a mixed-use project that was completed in 1992, located on Halekuila Street. It's just one building in off Ward Avenue in Kaka'ako. And a very small portion of the land was or is owned by the city and county of Honolulu. It's about 2,000 square feet. It's a little strip of land that fronts the street. It was originally intended to be used by HCDA or anticipated to be used by HCDA for road widening purposes, and it was never used for that purpose. HHFDC leased this strip of land from the city on a long-term basis when it developed Kauhale Kaka'ako with HCDA back in the early 90s. Again, we sold this property last year in leasehold. The owner is subject to a ground lease and sublease from HHFDC. The sublease is for that little strip of land fronting Halekuila Street. We did cancel the original ground lease with the city last year and entered into a new 75-year extension as part of the transaction. However, we'd like to actually acquire the land from the city. We obtained an appraisal a little over a year ago that concluded a market value of $160,000. We do have a budget, a dwelling unit revolving fund budget that was approved by this board for the acquisition. And this for action is simply to request the board's approval to proceed and execute the transaction, enter into a purchase and sale agreement with the city and county of Honolulu, cancel the existing recast lease that we entered into with the city last year, pay them $160,000 for that strip of land based on the appraised value, and take a deed from the city so that we will own the entire site in fee simple. However, lease to again, the partnership that I mentioned earlier on a long-term basis. So our recommendation is to cancel, is to ask the board to approve cancellation of the existing ground lease for that city-owned parcel at Kaahali Kakako, to execute a purchase and sale agreement to acquire the lease fee interest in the city parcel from the city and county of Honolulu, and to authorize the executive director to undertake all tasks necessary to effectuate the purposes of this for action. I can't quite tell, but I believe Seiju Ogawa from City and County of Honolulu Department of Land Management may be on the call to answer any questions that you may have on the city side.
Right, thanks. Anybody have any questions on this? No? Okay. So just, I mean, so the city's okay with the price and everything.
Yeah, so they've gone through their approval process, and actually the city council had to pass a resolution relating to this matter. So that happened in September, I believe.
Okay.
August, September. So city is willing to transact at this price. You know, we're willing to recommend it based on the appraisal.
All right. If there's no other questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thanks. Motion passes.
Here, if I may add one thing, we did close on the sixth property last week in this portfolio, the Kamakea Vista property. So that project's power now.
Wow. Thank goodness. That's
No kidding.
that's very good.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. All right, moving on to item 4, the executive director overview.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Just a couple of things to point out in our reports. This past week, we did attend a groundbreaking for Halekalele. This is a LITEC project, which is in very close proximity to the Ala Moana TOD. It is a model for interagency collaborations for development on underutilized state lands. In this case, it was a partnership between HHFDC and the judiciary, where there will be affordable housing as well as juvenile shelter and service center for at-risk youth. DERF funds were used for the construction of the judiciary component. The other thing I wanted to point out is for Waihole Valley, we do maintain the water system there, and we did have a service interruption with the water, in which the community was without water for some time, and so was Waihole Elementary School. We reached out to the Board of Water Supply to provide us help in these types of emergencies with a water tank. They declined, citing limited capacity and obligation to serve their own clients. We will ask for reconsideration and then look for other alternatives, as well as try to expedite the current repairs to our water system. Other than that, you do have my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions at this time.
I have a question, Chair, for Denise. I just wanted to ask you, Denise, if you could provide us with a status on the rent relief program, CARES Act program.
Sure, Director Nectar. Right now, just to make some clarifying points, the rent relief program offers $84 million in direct assistance for rent and or mortgage relief. The application count after duplicates, a percentage of the duplicates are taken into account, is roughly about 15,500 applications. Right now, the total amount disbursed is about $20 million, leaving a balance of about $64 million, with approximately 47 or 4,800 applications fully processed and dispersed. So the two nonprofits, Catholic Charities and Aloha United Way, has worked very diligently on increasing their respective capacities. And we hope to see the results in the next couple of weeks once new staff has been trained.
So, I guess with the remaining applications that are pending, do you have any projection on what amount of expenditure that might represent?
So right now, we've been working closely with Jill Tokuda from the Hawaii Data Collaborative, and based on the current trend line, it looks like we will get close to 70 million if the trend continues. So these are forecasts based on daily averages. So it all depends on what the next couple of weeks will produce. But it's looking like, getting up to 70 million.
Okay. Thank you.
So, having said that, though, under the act, any remaining balance would be transferred into the unemployment trust fund.
Okay.
So none of it goes back to the feds. It does go to use and helps buy down premiums for unemployment premiums.
Good to hear.
Thank you.
Are we still taking applications? Are they still coming in?
So because of the current capacity and the need for the nonprofits to focus on processing, we've had to suspend it. And yeah, we want to let them really process the applications that they currently have.
Okay. Thanks.
Sure. Further questions?
Is there anything else? No? Okay. I guess this is going to be a quick one. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Thanks, Mel.
Second.
Thanks, Carol.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
you.